Hey collectors, and welcome back to the Nerd Melon YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a hidden treasure disguised as a very common game, and we'll get into the sales potential of what this game actually is. Alright, so the game we're talking about today is God of War 2 for the PlayStation 2. I paid $30 Canadian for this game. It is the greatest hits version. It's also the Canadian version, and we can tell because it's got English and French on the cover. It has a third-party seal, and we can tell it's a third-party seal because it doesn't have that Y-fold seal configuration that is indicative of a first-party PlayStation seal. But not only that, this seal has some major tears in it. So if I were the game shop owner, I would have looked at this game and thought, okay, third-party seal, major tears, greatest hits version, common game. I'll put a price tag of $30 and see if anyone buys it. I think $30 is actually a little bit too expensive for this game as is. But as we will soon see, this game is worth a lot more than just $30. So what makes this game so special anyway? Well, what caught our eye when we were buying it was the back. This is not the back of the God of War 2 cover art. This is a manual. This is the God of War manual. This should be inside the DVD case. So why would the manual be placed on the outside and this third-party seal wrapped around everything? So all of this made us very curious. We decided to take a hit. We paid the $30 and took the game back to the Nerd Melon lab for further investigation. And what we found was pretty cool. Looking closely at that third-party seal on the top, underneath you can see the telltale signs of that Y-fold seal we talked about before. So that tells me that there is a first-party sealed game underneath this mess. It's very difficult to see because the third-party seal is creased and wrinkled. Looking very, very closely, though, you can definitely tell that there is a first-party sealed game underneath here. But what we found out next is what really makes this a cool treasure. Because of the tears in this third-party seal, we had access to this outer jacket, the outer French-Canadian jacket. And since it appeared to us that there was a sealed game underneath, we decided to pull away the jacket and take a peek. This game was originally sold by Blockbuster as a greatest hits version, and generally the greatest hits go for less on resale than the first release Black Label games. So we got really excited when we saw that the jacket underneath the red greatest hits jacket was in fact the original Black Label jacket. Well, truth be told, we've seen this type of repackaging for the Canadian market before, but the game underneath was always the same as the outer jacket. We've never seen a case where the original first release Black Label was underneath. So this game was imported into Canada, possibly by Blockbuster Video, as the Black Label English version, and to adhere to our Canadian rules, they slapped a new bilingual manual on the back and added a new greatest hits bilingual jacket, then wrapped it all up in a new third-party seal. And with that, we're going to move away from the desk and onto voiceovers on the computer to look at some of the sales data for a Black Label God of War 2. Because what would a Nerd Melon video be without some number crunching? Okay, worst case scenario. That first party seal we think we see is bunk. So what would we stand to lose? Oh, there are plenty of raw copies of this game for sale, and they're all going for about $10 to $15 each. So yes, the $30 asking price was indeed high, but if we are wrong, then we really only stand to lose about $20 on resale. But we're pretty sure we see a Y-fold seal in there, so let's take a look at sealed but ungraded copies of God of War 2. We have a high sale of $150, an average sale price of $111, so already we're in the green for about $70. But some collectors have seen a lot of resale potential with graded games, so let's take a closer look at that, keeping in mind that grading a game now in the current collecting environment would cost about $70 and take 8 months before getting the game back. We pulled the report from Nerd Melon and found 33 graded copies of the Black Label variant, then nearly shat our pantaloons when we saw a high value of $1,860 with an average sale price of $520. But wait, the game underneath the third-party Canadian seal has been untouched, so we're guessing it's in pretty damn good shape. So let's remove from our report any game with a rating of 89 or less. Doing so bumps our average sale price up to almost $640 USD. Now, before I go and soil my pantaloons a second time, I must say that I doubt we would ever get this game graded. Video game grading companies generally don't grade third-party seals, so getting this game graded would mean having to remove the outer seal, jacket, and manual, and there's 2 reasons why we wouldn't want to do this. This is a pretty rare find as is. Canadian variants have been slowly creeping up in value as collectors realize that our market size is 1/10 of that of the USA, making Canadian variants super rare at a population of 1 to 10 over the US counterparts. But also, and probably the biggest reason for me not to remove the outer seal, is that this game has that super nostalgia-inducing Blockbuster sticker. For those of you under 20, Blockbuster was a movie and video game rental store. It went out of business about 15 years ago as technology slowly pushed out the need for a rental market. I've talked about Blockbuster before, but this store holds a special place in my heart, which is very difficult to explain to a generation that has never experienced life before cell phones and Netflix. But let me try. Have you ever asked why dogs fetch sticks? There's probably a lot of reasons, but unlike other behavioral training like rolling over, for example, dogs just get how to fetch. While it's not a perfect analogy, I sometimes think that we humans have a similar instinct to fetch. Think about that. I hear you all laughing at me. You're laughing at me right now, but I must point out that Wata Games, one of the biggest game grading companies out there right now, has created a special category for games with the Blockbuster sticker. Okay. I could debate on and on forever about Blockbuster Video, but there is one other thing that I wanted to bring up before we go. When we were doing our research, we did find a greatest hits copy of God of War 2 that was graded, and it sold for $107. So I think ultimately we did well with this purchase. If we do ever decide to get it graded, we'll be sure to do a follow-up video on that. But until then, if you liked this content, please like and subscribe. Visit nerdmelon.com, and don't forget to